Time for part 2 of our series of, I don't want to say the best combinations, because some of them are and some of them are just my favorite. So let's just say my favorite combinations for each faction. Anything that is very synergistic and I like how they work together. To start off this section of 8, which is 1/3 of the factions, we have Grom the Paunch and Stone Trolls. So Grom the Paunch was meta throughout all of Warhammer 2, was pretty strong in Warhammer 3 for a bit, and then he got eclipsed by Rampage changes, but he used to be very strong for this. The language of the boys, given immune to psychology and leadership and melee defense whenever Grom is around anybody. I thought it used to only apply when he was in melee, but I guess it just applies all the time now. We can see here, these Stone Trolls charge up to the Dread Saurian and immediately Terror Route. Just like instantaneously. They got 114 value total. Now Grom is going to give it a shot. So Grom does provide, obviously, like, other AoE buffs. People often took him with the Great Uns is here. But even just the immune to psychology is plenty worth it. So he gets into melee first, because I thought when I was running this test for this video, I thought it used to be applied in just melee, but I guess it's constant now. The Stone Trolls aren't going to fight for much longer. Then when they start to think about routing, so I haven't even popped the language of the boys yet, or the Great Uns is here. That one. I haven't popped the Great Uns is here yet. The Stone Trolls have already gotten twice, literally twice as much value as the other Stone Trolls. Now again, it's not that impressive, it's just 200. Popping the Great Uns is here, and the immune to psychology make sure these guys can't route. Give them a little more leadership, a little more damage and melee attack. And we keep fighting for a bit, keep fighting, keep fighting, keep fighting, keep fighting, keep fighting, and we keep fighting. And then we think about keeping and fighting. We are finally routing, and when we route, the Stone Trolls have 720 value, whereas the regular Stone Trolls had only 114. The immune to psychology for Grom the Paunch is pretty huge in all matters, but especially when you're fighting big terror-causing monsters. So, Stone Trolls definitely appreciate that. For the High Elves, I don't have anything crazy to show. Kind of similar to the Empire, the High Elves have a lot of internal combinations that they don't need like multiple units for, so it's kind of lame. I guess the biggest one I can point out is the Towns of Torquelada. Just these guys imbuing fire weakness on people while doing fire damage is very nice, but paired with either Sisters of Avalorn or the Fireborn, those are probably your best bets. Another thing I could show is Plague of Rust again. Like similar to Balthazar Gelt, you could just do Plague of Rust and Shadow Warriors, or Plague of Rust and Basic Archers, or something like that. So it's kind of lame. The best one I could think of is the Towns of Torquelada plus Fireborn or Sisters of Avalorn. Just imbuing 20% fire weakness gives 20% more damage to the Fireborn. Our Dragon Princes can support them in cav fights, or give them to Sisters of Avalorn, obviously. But I don't know, just helps you deal with things quicker. Now the Fireborn are already hyper elite, so you're not going to see a crazy amount of difference here. But these Knights of Blazing Sun will route, and then 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 seconds later, those guys are out. Not a huge difference, but it is what it is. You can apply the fire weakness. Maybe pair it with a Sun Dragon Breath attack if you want to. High Elves don't have any crazy sexy combos I could think of. Something I've actually been enjoying using a lot recently is the Skull Taker. Chaos Knights of Khorne are very strong units. They have high weapon strength, melee attack, melee defense, a ton of armor and HP. There's a lot of things solid about them, but they usually struggle in cav fights because they are non-armor piercing and non-anti-large. Well, Skull Taker can fix that with his various buffs, Revel and Slaughter being a big one as well, but mostly Bloody Onslaught. Minus 24 melee defense, and importantly, minus 30 armor is pretty huge, because you can take Knights of the Black Rose, which have 120 armor and 50 melee defense. These Chaos Knights are going to charge them straight up. They both get a free charge, because we're in sandbox mode, so the Knights of Blazing Sun are not resisting. The Knights of Black Rose are not resisting. These ones are down to 26 melee defense because of Bloody Onslaught and 90 armor. You can see they are currently getting shredded, while the other one is completely fine. If you fast forward briefly, Bloody Onslaught still has 15 seconds left, so by the time it wears off, boop, 2,600 HP left, 4,800 left on the other side. Then as far as routing goes, playing at ×3 speed, these guys will route soon. And then we run them down. That was at about 2 minutes. Before you think it's just the Skull Taker doing all this work, Chaos Knights of Khorne have 1,000 value. These Chaos Knights, almost 1,000 at this point, so they're just catching up. The Skull Taker did not do a majority of the damage. He only did 103, so he was mostly just there for his buffs. So it looks like it took these guys an extra minute and a half, an extra 2 minutes. An extra 2 minutes to rout those knights. So almost double the time, honestly. Actually, yeah, over double the time, because it wasn't 0 seconds when we started fighting. For Kislev, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna be the salty Skaven gamer. My best synergy for Kislev is their cavalry and By Our Blood, whether it's their light cavalry or their heavy cavalry. The inability to be routed by ranged units before you reach them is a huge pain for me, especially when I'm playing Skaven. So you'll see two different versions of it. The Kossovite Dervishes go unbreakable, and while they won't kill your Warp Lock Giselles, they'll still get to them, they'll still shut them down, knock Warp Lightning Cannons offline, knock globes around. So just kind of like a Chaos Fury that you can dive in. For the Winged Lancers, they don't quite go unbreakable on the charge. They're very, very low. As the Giselles turn and kind of fight them a little bit, they're going to run into some troubles. But the Kossovite Dervishes, as soon as their By Our Blood wears off, they do rout. But they still got a good amount of value out on these guys. And the Winged Lancers were about to rout from all the damage they took, but they'll finish off the Warp Lock Giselle instead. Then work on the next one, and the next one, and the next one. So By Our Blood and Cavalry, pretty darn strong, especially when you're trying to use cheaper cavalry to disrupt ranged units and you just sacrifice them. Being unbreakable makes sure you get to your target, and it can be really, really, really annoying for ranged factions to peel you off. So all Cold One mounts got big buffs, and you're playing Lizardmen, and you want to use your fancy Cold One riders, but crap, they have 26 melee attack versus some heavy cav that have 50 or more melee defense. Knights of the Black Rose doing their work here. What if I told you there was an artillery piece that helped a lot? Bastillions of Solar Engines are amazing for the Lizardmen. They apply magic damage, which can get past physical resistance, obviously. Flaming attacks reduce any healing you can possibly get. They are immune to flanking, they provide vigor per second, and they have blinded on their shots. So you can easily pair a Bastillodon with your cavalry because of their incredible distance. If you just get any angle on the enemy cav at all, before the Cold One Knights hit, we have 12 and 26 for melee stats versus 36 and 50 on the other side. And these Cold Knights even impact first, just because I guess those ones I gave the charge orders to a little late. So the bottom one started first. And the Bastillodon, I don't believe he gets a second shot off. I believe he gets obstructed for the rest of this battle. So it was only one blinded debuff he got. And that blinded debuff has already worn off. And in that time, the Cold One Knights got about 1,000 more damage. So with his one shot, he himself only got 42 value. But he let these Cold Ones, they're at 550 about now, 400, yeah. He gave them 150 value more over their counterparts with just that one shot. So it can be pretty significant, especially if you can keep him shooting, which is sometimes hard to do, but it depends. In the chaos of a battle, sometimes a model or two will get away. As again, you can see these guys finished significantly faster than their other Cold One peers. For Nurgle, your best synergy is usually used in your blob builds, as I have a time code I'm waiting for. The Barons of the Bog, Pox Rider ROR does have a -10 weapon damage aura, I guess you'd call it. And then the Cultist of Nurgle has multiple things. So he has Warrior's Bane and the Icon of Eternal Virulence, and then you're poisoning people. So at 309, I need to pause. There we go. All right, so this guy's fully stacked right now. So if I hover over this Marauder Champion, I'm not going to use this one because they're so wounded. Let's use this one that's still nearly full HP. Icon of Eternal Virulence is fully stacked, so -20% damage there. -8 is -28. -15 more from being poisoned is -43, I believe. And the -10% is -53. These Marauder Champions are taking -53% damage that they can deal to their opponents, giving them a weapon strength of 23, while a perfectly healthy Marauder Champion on the other side has a weapon strength of 46. So when you're in a Nurgle blob with like Kugath, Plaguefather, and Exalted Grand and Clean One draining people down, you can reduce the enemy's damage output by half. and make it that much harder to get through your healing blob, especially while you have the Giver of Abundant Glory trying to heal you up at the same time people are doing half damage to you. It's why you see the Barons of the Bog and the Cultist on his War Shrine in Nurgle blob builds. I did have to get Jepardu to help me with this because the AI was being too stupid. I tried to give them Skirmish Cav to make sure they would run away so I could show what I was trying to do here, but they would occasionally just stop and let my Skin Wolves and Ice Wolves catch up to them, which was not what I wanted to happen. So for Norska, the best combination is well known. It is very, very meta. Everybody's been using it for quite a long time, and that is pairing Skin Wolves with Norskin Ice Wolves. Norskin Ice Wolves, with their large size, do not take nearly as much impact damage as other wolf variants, and they do have Frostbite, reducing whatever cavalry you're chasing speed by 30% and allowing the Skin Wolves to catch up to it. Skin Wolves at a meaty 75 speed and having Strider, they can catch a lot of cav on their own anyway, but not all the times, as we can see here with Silver Helms, these heavy cav with 84 speed. On the right-hand side, we have a Skin Wolf with no buddy, and over here we have Norskin Ice Wolves. Now, I did have Jepardu turn around as late as possible to let me catch up. If we had infinite time running in an infinite straight line, these Norskin Ice Wolves would eventually catch up, but that would take very long, as for some reason they occasionally stagger out of their charge. We can see here he's slowed down to 59 speed now, and he could turn and fight me and beat up the Norskin Ice Wolves, but that's why this is a combo and not just saying Norskin Ice Wolves are OP, is because he does not want to stop, or the Skin Wolves that are right there will catch him. So you're kind of in a lose-lose. You either need to stop and fight the Norskin Ice Wolves or keep trying to run, stay away from the Skin Wolves, but now the Ice Wolves get free damage on you. And we see in the distance, these Skin Wolves have not closed any distance on the Silver Helms at all. The Silver Helms are actually pulling increasingly away as these ones have been caught. Now, to be fair, the Skin Wolves here didn't really get any kills. I guess they got a couple hits in here and there, but they did catch up at last, which is nice. So if this Silver Helm wasn't already routing, they'd be helping. And the fact that they're chasing allows the Norskin Ice Wolves to get all these free hits over and over again without the Silver Helms resisting. So this pairing is very nice and can beat most things on the flank. And the last one for this video actually comes from Flying Taco. It is the Eshin Maneater helping Sabertusk packs be the heavy cav killing machines. So for context, I brought Iron Guts. Iron Guts are very strong units. They're also twice the cost of Sabertusk packs. Higher stats in general, armor piercing. They only have 16 models though, where Sabertusk packs have 32. Sabertusk packs have insanely high weapon strength and a high model count with crazy high speed, so they can catch most heavy cav. The only problem is they have non-armor piercing. So you pair him with the Eshin Maneater, who does two things. His Weeping Blade can reduce 50% of the armor from the enemy Empire Knights, and Marked for Eaton reduces their melee defense, reduces their speed so the Sabertusk can catch them even faster, and reduces their armor by 30. Eshin Maneater gets in here, and now these Empire Knights at 25 armor are just free food for the Sabertusk packs to get in a ton of damage. Meanwhile, Iron Guts are doing pretty well, and Sabertusk packs on the far side doing the worst out of all these guys. So the Iron Guts are twice the cost of the Sabertusk packs. And you can see the Sabertusk here with the Eshin Maneater's support, getting through them the fastest. 500 value for them, while the Iron Guts have almost 500. So the Eshin Maneater's support turns Sabertusk packs into Iron Guts for you, which is quite nice. Now the Iron Guts still get it done rather quickly, but without Iron Guts support, these other Sabertusk packs will take quite a long time, and they'll take a lot more damage. As you can see, these guys are still nearly full HP. These ones have already procced their Rampage, meaning they're at 75% health. I pull my Iron Guts away to make sure they don't help with the fight at all, as the Empire Knights continue to grind out. This Sabertusk pack got 751 value, and nearly twice the time this one just caught up to them for value. It just now caught up. So that Eshin Maneater's his armor sundering and then his armor debuff as well really helps Sabertusk packs just do so much more work, so much quicker and safer. He's really great, and thanks Flying Taco for that tech beast. I've actually used it myself in real competitive games, and it has been quite nice. All right, goodbye everybody. Hopefully you enjoyed this tips video. Roar. Subscribe, yes, yes.